Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Olympic Minds, Leadership Beyond Limits. I love this title because this is about leaders who want to be the leader of leaders, the visionary of visionaries. This is leaders who want to move from success to the area of significance and from mediocrity to mastery. What we're talking about today is really not theory. This is stuff that we're talking is going to be about grit-tested, heart-proven, and results-driven. I'm Sherry Wynn, your podcast host, two-time Olympian, national championship basketball coach, and for the last 12 years, CEO of the Winning Leadership Company. Today, my guest is Chris O'Brien, which Chris and I had a couple of wonderful conversations about a year ago over leadership and just many, many different topics. He is the CEO of JetLaunch Publishing. He has written over 18 bestsellers, and he's also published many great authors, many people who are out there trying to help the world. I mean, this is what I think that when I talk about Chris, I think the essence of him is that he wants to help the world. Like he's really about that person who wants to give wisdom and advice to people to help them grow themselves so they can grow their teams and grow the people around them. So Chris, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I have to keep it super short. The longer you get, the longer this part gets. So I grew up on a small farm in Minnesota, went into the military, and I was a chemical engineer and then a teacher. And for the last 18 years, I've been publishing books. And yeah, like you said, we have published a whole mess of books for a whole mess of people. And, you talk about being proud. The thing that I'm most proud of really, again, is my family. I have 5 kids, 10 grandkids, and it's just been the most wonderful thing for me, and the best learning experience in life at the same time is having a family.
So that's an interesting thing you said, because I don't know how many leaders that I've talked to, that I've interviewed for my books and also for the podcast, that they relate a lot of being a leader to being a parent. Like everything you need to know about leadership you learn from parenting. So tell me a little bit about what you learned from having your own family, from having those wonderful kids.
Yeah, so I'm in a bit of a different situation because I have 4 children from when I was young, and then my newer wife and I decided to have a child, and now I'm 61 and I have an 8-year-old. So I started out, learning the hard way, and mostly not learning, because when you're young, you don't really learn leadership very well. At least I didn't. And then you go into the world, and sometimes you get into positions of leadership, which I did. And so I started learning about leadership as, as a thing, because parenting, you don't think of it as leadership. And so then when we had our new child, all of a sudden, all of that experience came back, all of the leadership stuff that I had learned. And then, at this age, having a child, I'm really digging into things. I'm really paying attention to how it's going, what I'm doing, let's just say the overall factor is, how do I not screw up my kid? That's kind of it. And so bringing in all those leadership things that I've learned along the way. And then now as she's getting older, I'm able to pass on some of those lessons orally, or through the books that we read together.
Isn't it amazing? When we're young, we know it all. Like, it's so amazing. Like, when we're young, we're like, I've got this, I know it, and we're just like burning down things in front of us, and we're thinking we've got it all. And as we age, we're like, oh crap, I don't know anything. Like, the wiser you get, right? There's that moment. The wiser you get, the more that you know what you don't know. And that's the power of wisdom. So, looking back, what is one thing that you thought you knew, and then you've had to totally change your mind about that?
One thing I thought I knew. That's a good one. I think that brings me that it's more of like it's the mindset versus skill set question of which is more important. And what I thought all that mattered is that I had the right skills. Go to college, get the degree, learn how to do stuff, get into the job, they teach you how to do stuff, and you just do stuff and you do it well. And the better you do, then life is grand and everything would sound exactly the way you wanted to. And somebody fooled me, because boy, that did not work out. And for me, the biggest thing is self-discipline. For the mindset of discipline and mental toughness and ownership, and I kind of grouped those all together. I didn't realize how important it was. In fact, I didn't even realize that it was important. I didn't think about self-discipline. I mean, you go in the military, it's all external. There's nothing internal, at least until you have a chance to process. And so those, I thought I was disciplined. I was in the military. Of course I'm disciplined. I keep my house clean. I fold my clothes. Of course I'm disciplined. But there were so many areas of my life that I didn't even realize. I wasn't exhibiting or exercising any self-discipline whatsoever. And it probably one of the biggest pieces of that is that ownership piece. I did not realize how important it was because I was perfect and nothing was my fault. So I had nothing to take ownership for. What do I have to take ownership for? I own a car, I own a house. Isn't that good enough? Oh, man.
That's the whole thing.
So
I understand exactly what you're saying, Chris, because I did not know when I was growing up that I was a victim, right? So a victim blames outside events, circumstances for why you are who you are. So when you start talking about ownership, you start owning the part you play in every piece of your life. Like you have to quit blaming, your coach or your parents or your teacher or your friends or your teammates or who. You have to start saying, okay, what part did I play in this? Like, yeah, I'm not going to take their parts away from them. Like they played a part, but my part. And if I would have changed my part, they might have shown up differently, right? So it's that whole idea of taking ownership for your part in everything that's occurred to you, right? And so a lot of people love to tell the story. They did this to me. They're the one. They caused all my pain. They. And as long as you do that, you're always going to have a reason for why you are who you are, but you'll never change and have a different experience.
Yeah, exactly. And the one book that really opened my eyes to this was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. That book was like, oh, that's what ownership is. And that really opened my eyes because, I knew what it was at that point, but I didn't know, extreme ownership. But that book was probably one of my all-time favorite books. And then, to go along with it, he wrote one called Discipline Equals Freedom. And yes, it absolutely is. Because for so long, I didn't think it that way. Discipline is the opposite of freedom. It's being told what I had to do, whether it was at home in a strict environment or the military or my job. No, there's no freedom in discipline. I'm being disciplined. And that's all you thought. So, yeah, big eye opener.
Yeah, it changes your life. This is the thing I think that great leaders, whether we're leading ourselves, because we're all leading ourselves whether we know it or not, right? We're leading ourselves down whatever pathway we're going. We can lead ourselves or we're leading the people around us, whether it's our children, whether it's our spouse, whether it's a company, whether it's a team of people, we are still leaders. And then when we understand our part in that, when we can own our part in that, that changes everything. We're conditioned, I think, and we're still conditioned. I see it all the time. Like we blame other people all the time for who we are and how we show up. And so it's a challenge. It's really a challenge, I think, in my head when I say something like, I am the way they am because my mom. I'm like, okay, wait, that's true when I was young. Now it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
Now moving after that, it's a choice. And so how do I want to be today? Because that's the freedom you're talking about, right? It's the freedom of who you want to be today. And that's making the choices every day of that ownership that you're talking about. So what area of your life has been the biggest challenge for you to own?
Oh, yeah, that one's actually pretty easy because there was almost like an awakening that happened. The idea that I knew everything and could do everything. And when we talk about, when you're young, as you start to get older, you realize you don't know everything. And we joke about it and we laugh. But somehow I stayed so blind to the extreme of that I still felt that I could do just about anything, that I was the one who made the best decisions. I was the smartest one. I was the most skilled and capable person. And I wasn't even aware that I was thinking that, but I was. It was subconscious, but I was definitely acting out that.
Right.
Then something happened that really forced me to look at myself honestly, like to just kind of strip away everything and really look honestly. I'm like, holy cow, you are not at all the person that you have been, the story you've been telling yourself, the picture I've had in my head of who I was as a boss and a leader and a parent and a son and a friend, everything. It was like, oh wow. And I remember thinking, I really suck.
Well, that's the
This is
problem of that's the problem of taking ownership, because the first thing we tend to do after we take ownership, after we recognize, our part in things, is then we start this whole guilt trip. Well, that is not what this is about. It's not about feeling guilty or feeling bad or just like crushing yourself over the past events, because the past is the past. We can't change it. But it is about just recognizing your part in something. So I had this thing recently, Chris, I have to tell you about it. I was on a call with some of my former handball players. Now, my handball situation in 1988 was not great. I mean, I ended up with a coach who sexually harassed me. I ended up with my teammates who didn't support me. And so I'm on this call, and there are my teammates, and there's a guy who was at that time the executive director. And my first thoughts were like, you sorry son of a gun. I'm not saying it out loud, obviously, but I'm like, you sorry, you did this to me, you did that to me, you did that. And I was like, whoa. So I heard the internal talk, right? I said like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're looking at a snapshot of that individual. You don't even know who that person was then. When I look back, I'm like, I took that like a teammate. What did I know about that teammate? Only the experiences in that small amount of time that we spent together. And then I created a whole story about who that person was over a couple of sentences or something they did. I had no knowledge of that, right? So I had to remind myself, I was like, wait a second. Just like they don't know me, they didn't know me. They only knew the snapshot of what they saw. I only knew the snapshot of what I saw about them. And, I invited a lot of the stuff in that happened. Not like I want this to happen to me, but my reactions to things, the way that I saw the world, invited a lot of that stuff in. And I had to, at that moment, just go, wait a second, and I don't even know who the person is today. So why am I holding them accountable today? Something that happened 40 years ago, 40. And I'm like, wow, I need to stop and think about this, because I'm not the same individual. Like they might be thinking the same thing about me. I'm not the same person. I'm a totally different individual than I was 40 years ago. So I think that's the thinking. When we talk about leadership, we talk about people who are self-aware. That's the key. Wouldn't you agree that the key to being a great leader, a great parent, a great spouse, is that first step is self-awareness of truly knowing yourself. Not thinking you know yourself, but knowing yourself.
Yeah. And realizing that it is not a one-time thing. So my eyes are open to ownership, and I started implementing it, and I changed a lot of things. But even just the other day, I realized I was still falling into that old victim trap. My daughter did something. So why are you doing this to me? Why are you making, what's going on? Or sometimes I'll do it with my wife. Same thing. And then most of the time, fortunately, I catch myself. That's part of what I've learned, especially through meditation, is to just stop, catch yourself. But realizing, wow, I'm slipping right back into that same pattern. So the awareness happens much more quickly now, but it's never a one and done thing. I'm always learning something new about myself, or having to relearn most of the time.
Well, I love that you said meditation, because here's what I think. I've been asking a lot of leaders recently, interviewing for my next book on resilience. And I ask a lot of leaders, like, what kind of habits do you have to help you, like the daily habits that you have that helps you show up in your best form, right? And so meditation is one of mine, and you just talked about it. So tell us a little bit about, why did you start meditating? What changes have you seen with meditation? And why do you keep doing it?
Yeah, so the meditation is part of it. I will say, for me, because of my beliefs, prayer and, time in the Bible, and meditation. And my prayer and meditation are sometimes mixed. But the idea for me of the meditation is, and I do have, the Zen Buddhist background. There is a lot of experience in there. By the way, Buddhism and Christianity are not exclusive to each other. And both have helped me in both walks. But with the meditation, the biggest thing that it has helped me to do, well, it's two big things. One is focus. It has helped me to, because that's mostly what I do during my meditation. I'm focusing on my breathing, or I'm focusing, or I'll pick something, or sometimes I'll just pay attention to the sounds that are coming in, and doing that without putting on the labels.
Right.
I've tried all sorts of different meditation, but the one I like the most is what I think people classically think of as, your eyes half closed and you're quiet and you're not, you're letting your thoughts go. And that's why the focus helps so much, is because it helps you but what you learn at the same time is that, again, the ability to step back. You learn to take a pause before you react, and you eventually learn to take a pause before you even feel a reaction. And that doesn't happen all the time by any means. But there are plenty of times now if something happens and I think in the past, I would have reacted emotionally to this. And boy, did I have a big mouth. Well, I still do. But but that ability, just that one thing, because it affects everything in your life. Having a trouble in business, or you're dealing with a difficult customer, or anything you deal with, if you learn, in meditation, I found to be probably the best tool to learn that process. You can just stop and step back and look at yourself. Be the observer, look at yourself, and then usually the right answer, the right action, the next right thing happens. You don't even really have to think too hard. All of a sudden it's like, oh, this is how I need to handle this.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love that idea of meditation. Because meditation for me has been, like you just said, one of the things is you recognize your thoughts. You hear your thoughts, and then the next biggest thing is you recognize you can let them go.
Yeah, you're not a victim.
To live in the thought, right? And so it's the process of that mindfulness of a story comes in, and then we can either dive into the story and play with it, which a lot of people do, or you can just go, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna let this go. I'm gonna focus back.
Because I am not my thoughts.
Right. I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna choose to let it go. I'm gonna go back to whatever you're doing, breathing, or you're listening to something, or whatever it is you're doing, you can go back. And so what it teaches us is that we don't have to let our thoughts control us. I mean, it really does that. And so that's the calming piece, because even if you're in the midst of a battle, like, you're having a conversation and all of a sudden you want to prove the other person wrong, which is what you shouldn't be doing, right? But you're all into and then you realize, oh, like, there's another way to do this. I don't have to be there. And you're in the moment of recognizing, like you were talking about, you're the observer. So you're there, but you're also observing yourself doing the thing that you're doing, right? And I think I had a really hard time.
And if you can observe yourself, you can control yourself.
There you go. And I had a really hard time with that concept initially. Like, you're the observer. I'm like, but I can't be the observer. I am the person that I am.
Yeah.
But there is something where you can step outside yourself and watch what you're doing and recognize it. And then from that perspective, it's easier to change it. And I think that's the key for great leaders, is that they don't get, I'm going to say the word ego, they don't get carried away with their ego. So to me, ego is that insecurity, it's that pride piece, it's the things that drives us to be needy, to be validated. When I talk about ego, that's what I'm talking about. And I think that great leaders have learned not to let their ego lead them, right? And so So in the learning of that, like, there's a lot of different ways to learn it, but for me, it was meditation. Well, how else can you learn that? I mean, you talked about Buddhism, you talked about Christianity. Where else did you learn that concept?
I think the first step in it was realizing that I was doing something I wasn't proud of, and asking myself, what are you doing? And it was when I did that, I didn't think of it in those terms, because I didn't even know the terms at the time. But I was becoming the observer. I was stepping back. I was taking a pause. So, even if you haven't done meditation, you haven't learned how to step back, even if you can step back afterward. So you did something, be aware that you're not comfortable with what you did, and then ask yourself, what should I have done differently? And just starting to be more aware and cognizant of what's going on in your conversations and your actions and things, the stuff that you want to be able to control. So
Mhm.
it's realizing that you're not really in control, or at least you weren't in control in that situation, and then practicing and not beating yourself up over it. Even if people who've done meditation, it takes a lot of work.
It does take work. So how big a part have books played in your world? I mean, you have written books, you have published books, you've helped people like kind of brand their book, whatever you're talking about. How big a part, like the reading books and gaining knowledge, right? How big a part has that played in just becoming like the human being that you're now proud of?
It's been huge, actually, and it goes, I mean, all the way back to childhood. I was always an avid reader. I love spending time in the library. I checked out more books in our school library than anybody else. And on the fiction side of things, it really made me aware of what might I be able to do or become. Because I'd read these stories and I'd pretend I was that person. I would
Oh,
pretend that I was having those experiences. You get immersed in it. And and so it opened me up to a lot of experiences, a lot of different viewpoints, because we don't realize necessarily that when we're reading a book by an author, we're learning a whole lot about the author at the same time, because all of their wisdom and thoughts and screw ups and everything else is coming through, just like it would come through in any conversation.
right.
So I learned a lot about different viewpoints and really kind of just, broadened my horizon in that sense. But most of what I've learned also along the way, nonfiction books, I've learned from books. I learn better from books than just about anything else. And so that's part of the equation.
Right.
I don't hold on to things that I hear nearly as well as what I read. That
Yeah.
just kind of goes internally. So yeah, books have been huge. And it's funny because when I was a chemical engineer, I worked in the paper industry. And now that I'm in this field, it's like, wow, you're still in the same field, only now you're putting this stuff on the paper.
Well, you've had, I mean, we think about books, and so if you could take a guess, because I'm just interested. I'm interested in people that have that, like, that wisdom, the knowledge, the things that other people seem to not. How many books do you think you've read in your lifetime? Like, just if how many books would you read in a year, for example? So give us a yearly thing first. How many books do you think you read in a year?
I would say, and I read at least an hour at night fiction just to fall asleep.
Yep.
So that gets me a whole lot more reading. But probably, I'd say easily 100 a year between the fiction and the nonfiction. And
Wow.
again, it's just because. Or I go on long trips a lot, and so I'll listen to audiobooks.
Yep.
One of my recent favorites, both in subject and title, is The Road Less by Ken Cunningham. It's a
Mm.
great business book. Oh my goodness. But
Wow.
um, so yeah, so probably over my lifetime, if I think on it, maybe I'd guess 5,000,
Wow. Wow.
somewhere in
Wow.
there.
Wow. 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 Yeah, because there's a difference between, like, I read a stat before, and I don't know if it's still true, but there was a stat a while ago that said, leaders, your top leaders. So we're talking about C-suite executives, anybody who's above middle management, average reading about 60 books a year, right? So you know why they are where they are, whether they listen to them now or they
Yes.
read them, they're constantly feeding themselves new information, right? They are looking for that new edge or that new thing. Or for me, when I read a book, sometimes it's about remembering or seeing it in
Yeah.
a different light or recognizing for the
Yes.
first time, like I've read something like 10 times and now I finally go, ah, I've got it. So it's that
Yes.
beauty, right? It's that beauty of the book that's still there. And so for older people, like I'm going to say I'm older people, is that I still love the touch, right? I mean, I do listen to audible books, but I love the touch and feel of the book.
Yeah.
It's still that tactile connection to a book that really brings it home to me. And like you, I read fiction and nonfiction, so that you get all. And nonfiction can be phenomenal in some of the things that it brings forth, right? And some of those philosophies and belief systems that it brings back into you that are oftentimes in your nonfiction books. So that combination of the two is what really moves us forward. So if you were talking to a leader and you were just saying to them, look, man, here's the top 3 books you should read, what books would you tell them that they need to read?
And one more thing I want to add to that. Well, one, there's the saying, great leaders are great readers. And two, never mind, it just went right out the door.
Well, the first one was good enough.
I know what it was. The second one was, I purposely, not all the time, but sometimes I will read a book that I don't like. I read the description and I'm like, this isn't the way I think. This isn't the way I feel about things. This is, and then it's like, that's like a sign to me that maybe you should read it. Just be open, or don't be open, but just read it, because then that's going to get in your head. So it's a good way to expand your ability to think and see things.
Right.
The greatest books, for sure, I would say Extreme Ownership. I think that's one of my absolute favorites. Another one actually is the Book of Proverbs. So obviously the whole grade for that, unless you like going around killing people from other countries and and faraway places, but the Book of Proverbs, there's so much business wisdom in there. What is the other one that goes along with that? Business Secrets by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. So kind of a combination of those two. And are we talking leadership books? Is that kind of where we're
leadership
at?
books, but you know what? Here's what when I said leadership books, my best leadership books were spiritual books. And what I found is there's a big crossover from, like Brene Brown and all of her things that she says, big crossover between Brene Brown and the spiritual books that I read, right? And so Brene is, has this leadership stuff and whatever, and I'm reading it. It's not something that I haven't seen in all the spiritual books. And so for me, I was reading these kind of spiritual books, and they were leadership books. I mean, I didn't know that they were leadership books, but they were leadership books because of what their wisdom that they gave, that many people then take and put into leadership in a different terms, but it's truly the same thing. And so, whatever book is, I think that a leadership book would be something that's greatly impacted a person's thinking. So that because for me, the greatest leaders are those people that are really self-aware. The people understand who they are, understand what they need to work on, understand their weaknesses, understand their strengths, and understand, like in the middle of a conversation, if you're a great leader and you're going down the wrong path, you can say, you know what, I want to take a time out because what I just said, I need to retract that. Like that wasn't the way to approach it. I mean, they have that opportunity. And I don't think you can get there unless you're doing like what you're suggesting, like you're reading, you're exposing your mind. And you know what I just love that you said, Chris, was that you read things that you don't necessarily align with. I don't know, there's a lot of people that are doing that. And I think that's so essential, is that we're trying to understand. I think this is a big part of leadership too, trying to understand somebody else who is not in alignment with our thinking. What a beautiful thing to do.
And it's hard. It's still hard for me to do. It's like I resist, which is why I force myself to do it, because it's got to be done. So I would say not necessarily another specific book for my third one, but I do agree with you that those spiritual books for me, like Adyashanti and Byron Katie, their books,
Byron Katie,
significantly impacted my entire outlook on life and how I act and how I treat people. And that's essential. That is leadership. It's very essential.
Right. I love Byron Katie's, the work. Byron Katie, for those of you who have not read any Byron Katie, one of the things she asks you is just to examine your thought. Like, is it true? Because you start thinking a thought and we get trapped in those thoughts. And she just stopped and go, is it true? And most of the time when we have a thought about ourselves, because we like to beat ourselves up. Like one of the things that we do is we beat ourselves up. If you really listen to your internal language, you'll know that you do this. And just that first question, is it true? Because that can stop a lot of the pain that we have.
Yeah, totally. It gets you right there.
Yeah. And who would I be without this
really
thought?
Opens up.
Like, I love that. Who would I be without this thought?
Yes.
Right? I mean, because
I was just trying to think of what those questions were, but they're so good.
Yeah. There's 4 of them, and I think the first one is it true? And then do I know with absolute 100% certainty, is it true? What do I feel like when I think this thought? right? So what does that thought make me feel like? And then who would I be without this thought? I didn't really word it exactly, but it's pretty close. But I think about
But
that.
yeah,
Because,
that's very close.
yeah, because what we do to ourselves, and I just think of this as leaders, because look, leaders are people. Sometimes we elevate them to think that they're not, but they're people. And the thoughts you think are who you become and how you act, right? And so if we have a thought that is a negative thought, and we all do, like they hammer us, and we keep telling a story, if we just stop and pull back, is this true? Because we don't know.
Even if you just ask that question, just that one alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's stories. I mean, we tell stories all the time, right?
Yeah.
And if we can stop the storytelling and examine the storytelling and let ourselves know we don't know this is true, right? We just don't know. Like we always say, well, he meant that. How do you know that they meant that? How many times have I said something that somebody took a different way that I didn't mean? But we take that, and then how much pain do we give ourselves, right? And when we give ourselves pain, like one of the things that people know is that hurt people hurt, right? So if you're a leader and you know this, that hurt people hurt, and you can stop and examine your thoughts before you get crazy on them, because if you're hurt, you're going to say something to one of your team members, your spouse, your child, because you're in the hurting phase. If you can stop that, you show up so much differently.
Yeah, Wayne Dyer, took me a second. Wayne Dyer once wrote that it's never too late to have a happy childhood, because if you can become aware of your story, you realize, oh wow, I can rewrite my story. I don't have to be a victim to that story. Just because that's the story I've been telling myself doesn't mean it's true, and it doesn't mean I have to keep it. And so I had an interesting childhood, and I have learned mostly to rewrite that. And so then, eventually it made sense to me that it was never too late to have a happy childhood. But, you can apply that to anything.
I love that quote. I love that quote because, like you said, we tell the story so many times that we buy into the story, and that's who we become. But Wayne Dyer is one of my favorites. I read every single book that he put out. Every single book.
Yeah.
I started way early in the book when he was in psychology, before he went into, the spiritual dance that he had. But that kind of brings me to
Erroneous Zones.
Yep. That was the first one I ever read, right there. Absolutely. I still think I have that. I think I have a copy of that somewhere. But so it kind of comes back to this. You just talked about you didn't have a great childhood. And so what happens to all of us without fail, is we're going to have challenges in our world. Like that's going to happen to all of us. And nobody gets to say at the end of their life, like, oh, it was such easy, like just flew through that. Everything I wanted showed up, every situation I wanted, because that's not reality. Reality is that we're going to have tons of challenges. Like we're going to have personal challenges. We're going to have relationship challenges. We're going to have career challenges. We're going to have financial challenges. So a leader needs to show the way forward. Like they're the one who's got to be out in front, and they're the one who has to say, like, this is the direction we're all going to go. So what is the philosophy or belief system that you have that allows you to stay steady during those times of challenges?
Well, I think we've talked a lot about it. When we talk about beliefs or philosophy, just but the belief that I'm not a victim. I don't have to. None of this has to stick. None of this has to be my existence, even. Just so being able to step back and to look at things and realize, oh, I don't have to act this way. I don't have to be this way. I don't have to be the victim. I can own everything. I can own it. Even I can own things I don't need to own, which is very opening. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. But belief system and the belief that almost all people are good, and sometimes you have to look for it because we're so good at looking for how bad people are. Cut me off on the road, or they're living a way that I'm never going to live that way. I don't think that's the right way to live, or any of these things that we look at and we judge. So learning, a belief system that you don't have to judge. I mean, we know it, but we never really follow it. Is God says judgment is mine. Judge not that ye be not judged. Who knows what verse that is? But we know that it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's great. And
Yeah.
then we turn around and we see somebody that we don't like how they look and we immediately judge. So knowing it and doing it. So I'd say a belief that, yeah, that's probably one of the big ones is learning not to judge. And I struggle with it all the time
Oh yeah.
still,
Oh yeah.
but
Well, because we're
working toward that is the key.
yeah. One of the things that I've started saying when I see somebody else, right, and I'll judge them, and I'll say, let me see the love and light of this person. That's what I say to myself, and I've been constantly doing that for the last couple of weeks, because let me see the love and light of this person, because that goes back to the basic good of people, right? I'm like you, Chris. I think that people are basically good. If we're looking for the bad things in them, we're going to find them every single time. But let me see the love and light in this person, right? Let me see the wholeness of this person. That's what I want to see when I see an individual. And so as I walk down airports and I'm going to speeches and I'm going to something, I'm looking around at people and I go, let me see the love and light in that person. Let me see the love and light. Like I'm just constantly, because we have such a like, what is that clothes that they're wearing? Why would they think that would be appropriate? Why do they have all those tattoos? Why are they da da da? Like I just start, well, no, because they're human beings and we came here to be the human being that we came to be. And it's not, I choose not to be that way, but that doesn't mean that that's their pathway should be mine. Right. And so I think that you're right about really letting go of judgments of ourselves too. That's harder by far. Like letting go of our own judgments, the things that we have against ourselves. But when we're capable of looking for better things in people, we're going to find the better things in people. And I think this is such a big thing in terms of being a great leader in so many different ways. So Chris, so there's something I haven't asked you that you would like to share with people. What would that be?
Oh, gosh. I think we've done a really good job of covering the most important things. I prepared for this interview and I thought a lot about, all these different areas of leadership. Well, the one thing is, leadership without limits. I liked that question of what does that mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled with it at first. And at first I thought, that's a dumb saying. Maybe leadership without limits. It sounds cool, but what does it mean? So okay. Stop, step back, think about it. So I thought about it, and then of course, it just kind of came to me right away. To me, it's not. We focus on leadership at work. That is like because that's the context that we most often hear about it. We think of it in terms of work, whether it's the military or business or sports, but we're always thinking in those terms. And so leadership without limits to me is thinking about how to be a leader in situations that don't necessarily I won't say require, but we don't think about being a leader. For example, being a leader as a son. How can I be a leader as a son? How can I be a leader when I'm in an event and nobody even knows who I am? How can I act like a leader and how can I be a leader? So it got me, and then I just kind of got off in this tangent of thinking, how can I be a leader when that jerk is cutting me off on the road and I just want to punch his lights out? And there's just, every situation in your life, I think there's an opportunity to act, think, and be a leader. And
Right.
even if you think, well, I'm not a leader yet, or I need to learn, no, that's okay. You'll always be learning. But in that situation, with what you currently know, just ask yourself, how can I be a leader in this situation?
Absolutely. I think, you just said that. I just reminded me, I was at a grocery store and there was a guy in front of me, and in front of him was a lady in one of those riding scooters. She obviously couldn't stand up. She's really struggling. She's trying to get her stuff out of the basket onto the conveyor belt. And I just walked around the guy and I said, do you mind if I help you? Like, I'd really love to help you. She said, oh, I love that. And so I unloaded all of her stuff. And then the guy turns around and looks at me and goes, that was really a nice thing that you did. So to me, that's the moment, right? I was leading in that moment.
Yes.
Because the guy between us saw that. And I'll bet you, like, I don't know, but I will bet you that he then took that and he's going to use that and pay it forward, right? So we talk about leadership without limits. It's every opportunity that we have to show up differently, to show up in a kind way, to be compassionate, to be empathetic. I think that's the way. So Chris, tell people, like, how can they find you? How can they, if they want to get a book out there, and I know you're the guy, how would they contact you? Or if they want to read one of your books, where would they find you? What's the best method to find you?
Really, just my website, jetlaunch.net, JET launch. It's kept it simple. But jetlaunch.net, I'd say really everything's on there. And any way to contact me, any way to see what we're, how we can help people. Keep it simple. Right there.
So folks, this was another edition of Olympic level leadership, and I really hope that you're taking away something. Please, if you love it, love it, love it, share it, share it, share it, subscribe, and have a winning day. Everybody, take care now. Bye-bye.